Hey, what's going on, guys? This isn't necessarily a new idea or some brand new insight, because I think I stand with the vocal majority in saying that the Bat Family is too big. And I think the major reason why a lot of people feel this way is because, on top of there being just too many people, a lot of them feel redundant because they fill the same roles or archetypes, with certain characters getting more page time than others, and on the flip side, some characters feeling like they're being criminally underutilized. Because if you just take a step back, as of right now, there are two active Robins, three Batgirls, with two being active and one on retainer. You also have two Batmen, if you count Jace Fox as being part of the Bat family, which I don't, but I mean, he's still Batman. And I feel like as long as Bruce is still in the picture, Jace is never going to stand a chance in the public eye. But then you have the whole situation with Robin, where both Damian Wayne and Tim Drake are occupying the same space with the same mantle, both filling in as Batman's sidekick in two different Batman books. So that's problem number one. But problem number two, these are both characters who already concluded their arcs as Robin. Tim Drake grew up and assumed his own identity as Red Robin like 15 years ago. Could he have picked a better name? Absolutely. Then again, I'm of the personal opinion that Tim Drake shouldn't even be a superhero after he gives up being Robin. But I mean, that's a whole other can of worms that we can talk about in the future. But the point is, Tim Drake already concluded his Robin journey when he became Red Robin, and Damian Wayne's concluded when he fucking died. It was like the whole point of his character. He dies as Robin so he doesn't grow into the tech fascist dark future Batman. And even after bringing him back, the idea behind Damian as a sidekick was that he doesn't work well with his father because they're too much alike. Batman and Robin work well together because one is the good cop and the other is the bad cop. Usually with Batman being in the latter role, with Robin being in the former. And when Dick Grayson took over as Batman and brought Damian under his mentorship as Robin, this dynamic was flipped. But it was still there. And it's why they work so well together. And it's also why Bruce doesn't work well with Damian. In fact, Damian straight up tells Dick that he was his favorite partner shortly before he dies. And I feel like if Dick Grayson isn't going to be allowed to wear his big boy Batman pants, and we have to retrograde that character back to being Nightwing, wouldn't it be a good idea for Damian to be the new Flamebird? You know, to honor the Kryptonian roots of the Nightwing and Flamebird myth, which Dick Grayson is already paying tribute to? I mean, it's not like anyone else is using the name right now. And besides, if Bruce Wayne has to continue being Batman, which, by the way, I maintain bringing him back from the dead after Final Crisis is one of the biggest fumbles in DC Comics history, but I digress. And if Batman needs a partner, which I would argue that he does, this gives Duke Thomas the chance to be more than just melanated set dressing for the Batcave. And I feel so bad for Duke Thomas, because Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo were building this character for like 6 years, and once he finally earns his spot at Batman's side, and he gets his own unique superhero name, and Bruce is trying to be a new and better version of himself with a new dynamic duo, DC just drops the character like a sack of stale popcorn.
Whack.
And I feel like the biggest problem with the Bat family isn't the addition of new characters, which I've seen a lot of people claim to be the problem. I think the problem is not allowing older characters to move on and graduate from popular status quos, which leaves newer characters in a spot where there's nothing really for them to do. Like, once Red Hood is made a member of the Bat family, even tangentially, what are you going to do with Huntress? And I love Cassandra Cain. She's my personal favorite Batgirl. And I've come around on Stephanie Brown as Batgirl after finally having read some of her run, despite still not liking how she reached that status quo. But, I get why people like that character in that role. And I do think that it's cute that they're both Batgirl now. But at this point, they've both been there and they've both done that. And I think it's high time for someone else to come in and fill that role. Even if they aren't Batgirl, just having someone fill that archetype, like Harper Row. She was teased as like the next big thing as Bluebird, and now she's remembered every June when DC wants to say, hey, look, we have gay characters. Harper's one of the gays. She exists. We're not going to do anything with her, but she's totally there. And don't even start with the whole Barbara Gordon situation. If anything, I feel like she's an even bigger victim of retrograde character progression than Nightwing or Tim Drake. And I get it. I get why DC doesn't phase out older characters. It's because these characters are iconic and their status quos are iconic. But the inherent problem with that idea is that ongoing superhero comics as a genre and a medium is built on progression. These characters, ideally, are built to grow and evolve, and if they're not growing, they're stagnating. And stagnation in the face of evolution is death. But DC wants to have their cake and eat it too. So they introduce new ideas without ever phasing out or progressing older ideas, and you just sort of wind up with this mush that nobody really knows what to do with. And that's just where I'm at. I think a lot of these characters just need to move on and do different things. And the Bat Family isn't the only group or team or set of characters that are going through this. I think that's the case with a lot of characters in comics right now. I think iconography becomes a bit of a ball and chain for many of them. But then you run into the polar opposite problem where people just take hard left turns with certain characters and then they wind up becoming unrecognizable. And sometimes that's a good thing, but most of the time it isn't. And you start to see why that ball and chain seems so appealing. So it's not like I don't see why this can be a complicated tightrope to walk, but at the same time, this is a very kinetic storytelling medium, and I don't think you can afford to just have characters sit there, spinning their wheels. But that's my little rant. I think the Bat Family is too big, and a lot of the older characters need to go off and do some other things, or just die. And stay dead this time. So newer characters can have a chance to shine. But that's it. But what about you? Let me know down below in the comment section, and as always, I will catch you in the next one. Later.